and we kind of want to go into this. Top five goalies of all time. Top five goalies of all time.
who aren't
Okay, so let's
the
before we
obvious.
let's do this because we already know the top three. A lot of people's list would be Waugh, Brodeur, Hasek. We both agree that's our top three. What's your
Yeah,
order of that three?
I'm just because I love Patrick Waugh with every fiber of my being, but I got to go Hasek first because he just
You're a man of
was
culture. You just gained my respect immensely.
he was the dude had a slinky for a freaking spine. Um,
I don't think he had a spine. I just think he
I don't
just
know.
was a. Think it was a fucking yeah. I think it was a slinky.
Yeah, I just because and it was funny too because when I was still a Rangers fan, he would make these stupid, unhuman saves, and it seemed like it was always against the Rangers. Like
Yeah.
you'd have a wide open net, and then all of a sudden you'd see this blocker or a stick just magically fly through the air and just knock the puck far enough out of the way so it wouldn't go in. And I'd be, watching the game, just losing my tiny little mind, going, "How in the f did that dude just do this?"
Mm. I don't disagree there. So you have Hasek, Waugh, then Brodeur.
Yeah,
I'm
I
pretty.
hate
I'm.
Brogier
You hate Brodeur, I know, because you're an Avs
because,
fan.
yeah, I hate the Devils and all that miscreant fan base of theirs.
I I actually have the same order. It's Hasek. It's weird. I'm surprised you didn't go Waugh. 'Cause everyone I know goes Waugh, but Hasek because of the style in which he played was so athletic and insane.
Mm-hmm.
I still think he'd be a fantastic goalie in today's day and league. Like he would just be a more he'd be like Jonathan Quick ask because like Quick made those type of saves like were crazy, but Hasek just had such an unusual, unorthodox style that
Yeah,
I mean Roman Czechmanek tried to replicate it, didn't work for. Well, it worked for him. He actually had a very good career until he went to jail. So so I mean there's that.
jail will sidetrack your careers.
It will just a bit, but Hasek Wall because Wall was so good with the Canadiens, and then he goes to the Avalanche, wins you a cup, and
Two cups.
he essentially pretty much invented a goaltending style in butterfly.
Yeah.
Brodeur three for me because this is crazy, right? It's because it's three is not disrespectful considering this is all NHL history.
Yeah.
I just because it gets very difficult to separate these upper echelons. I just give
Well,
the slight edge to Waugh because he created a style, Hasek because he carried teams individually, even some on some poor teams. He carried teams with excellent statistics. I actually argue if if Hasek played in his prime for the Habs, or the New Jersey Devils, he would have ultimately won more cups than Waugh or Brodeur.
oh, I don't argue that. Yeah.
You know,
And I no, this is I'm gonna wait for the entire state of New Jersey to come try to find me here. Um, Brogier was so good because of the system that they ran.
yeah, I wouldn't argue the trap with Scott
Yeah,
Stevens, Niedermeyer. I
yeah,
mean,
that
yeah,
trap
yeah.
that to get in the zone was just ridiculous.
And half the
And he
hits
had
Scott Stevens did now would be he'd be suspended from the league
oh
forever.
God, he'd be in Rikers Island. Christ,
Yeah,
for what he did to Paul Correa.
but then he got off the mat and on the board. So
Yes.
I mean,
Um,
yeah,
I want to, how that the term system quarterback. Berger was a system goalie. That trap helped him so much, which from the coaching standpoint was tremendously smart. Tremendously smart.
I mean, and more in there can't control. I appreciate you popping in. I think for me with the I won't go as far as say a system goalie. I think he benefited from a system, but Brodeur also made some fantastic saves.
Oh
He was
yeah, he did.
and he was the best puck handler I've ever seen. Like the best.
Yeah,
He's the reason why they got the trapezoid. Let's make that very clear.
Hmm.
Like and I hate the trapezoid with all my fucking fiber in my being. It's I don't like it for my. I think if a goaltender is a good puck handler and he can kind of excel in that, they shouldn't be punished. My opinion.
No, I concur.
But let's kind of go into because we agree on our top three, so it kind of makes it
Yeah.
boring. We're gonna do our top five outside of those top three. So essentially, technically, was that top eight, but we're gonna go to our top five without Brodeur, Hasek, or Wall. Do you want to go first? You want me to go first?
Well, I will let you go first since you're on camera and you look better than I do.
All right, calm down. You don't need to like lie. Clearly, there's video footage. Um,
No,
top five.
why do you think the camera's turned off?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Top five without them. Oh, obviously Ethan, of course. David Ayers is number one. The Zamboni driver. Um, for me, it's number one would be Marc Andre Fleury, just because he's won cups, he has longevity, he has everything you'd want, he has a bunch of wins, right? Uh, he's been phenomenal throughout most of his career, and he's had some ups. He has a little bit some down spurts, but he's always bounced back, which I just admire. Number two, Jonathan Quick, because those cup runs I do not forget. Like how he would make some like scorpion insane like kickback save like against the New York Rangers.
Yeah.
Empty net. It was Zuccarello. He dives with the paddle, makes an amazing save to keep a puck out, and I'm like, he just was so dominant during those cup runs. I got a quick two. Three, Roberto Luongo. Probably the reason why I have him three and not higher is due to the lack of cups, whether that's unfair or not. But Roberto Luongo, when he played with Florida, was fantastic. He gave them stability. He was behind some really bad teams. He was really good. Went to Vancouver. He got close, but then he met the buzzsaw, the Boston Bruins, and Tim Thomas. And then the Canucks just weren't able to kind of go after there. He won a gold medal as well. So, I mean, he's a champion in that success. Number four, this is probably unorthodox to some. Mika Kiprusoff. Mika Kiprusoff is one of those goaltenders that if he played on a great team for his whole career, would have at least won a cup. He was fantastic. He played like 60, 70 games in a season, like so many times. I actually think if they kind of tapered back his games a little bit, he would have had a little bit longer of a career. But he had like one of the greatest primes, in my personal opinion. And then I'll put five, Tim Thomas. I mean, top five, Carey Price. Sorry, Carey Price.
Who's he saying? Timmy Thomas.
Carey Price. He was really good.
Yeah.
Again, another goalie that was a victim of the team kind of failing him, right?
Hmm.
And I it's a shame that during that pandemic year when they went on that fantastic run, like he was
Yep.
one of the only reasons that was like they went as deep as they did.
Yeah.
And he was able to elevate his team. I just think it's a shame just due to injury he wasn't able to have a longer career. And for honorable mentions, I have three. I have Curtis Joseph because that guy was freaking nasty.
Yes.
Uh, Ed Belfour, Eddie the Eagle, won a cup with the Stars. He was really good as well. And then, Timmy Thomas. And that's I'm not joking with this one. Tim Thomas, a all-time save percentage record-wise, is like fifth or fourth all-time. And while his career wasn't long, and he definitely was a late bloomer, he won a couple Vezinas. He was the only
Hmm.
reason the Bruins probably won that 2011 Stanley Cup championship. He was an absolute brilliant goaltender that I don't think gets respected because of a lot of the stuff that happened around him. And could he be a douchebag? Sure. I mean, fine. But on the ice, he was spectacular. So, I mean, what about your five?
Well, oddly enough, it's basically the same thing, except instead of Kiprasov and the four that you mentioned that we agree on, primarily the same reasons.
Hmm.
You couldn't you said what I was going to say, only infinitely better. So, except for when it comes to Kiprasov, I have to go. with Mike Richter.
I'm not mad at that. Mike Richter was friggin' good. He was so
He
good.
was really good, and he also,
I should have actually
ended
had
the
that in honorable
drought.
mention. Yeah,
Ended the drought.
yeah,
The 54-year drought, and just and it's funny too. Somebody once said, one of my friends when I was still living in New Jersey said, Mike Ricker could walk into a bar and he'll never pay for a drink ever again in the five boroughs.
yeah.
Um,
Richter was so good.
and my honorable mentions, I the same. You, I I hated Ed Belfour and I hated Curtis Joseph
Mm,
because they were that good, and they would just always like when the Rangers needed to win a game and they would be like, oh, we got to play St. Louis, or we got to play Chicago. It's like shit. They're just going to show
exactly.
up. They're going to stand on their head, and they're going to lose like 1-0, 2-1, and just not give up anything, and just absolutely just madden, drive me insane. And
Yeah.
Tim Thomas was fantastic, as you stated, late bloomer, but
Yeah.
I mean, did not let the years slow him down at all. He
No,
was filthy.
I think Thomas would have stayed a better goalie if he didn't take that year off.
Yeah,
It's a strong. You can't take a year off at that age.